So today we are focusing on one particular fragrance brand. It's a focus on Francesca Bianchi. Hi, I'm Gabby and welcome back to another edition of the Fragrantician, where we talk about nothing but fragrance. So in this edition today we are focusing on Francesca Bianchi, who is an indie niche perfumer who's based in Amsterdam in the Netherlands, but I do believe she is Italian, and she's quite an artistic lady. I do believe she has studied history of art, so she has an artistic background, which is good, because on these fragrances that I sampled, and I did purchase with my own money, on the back of I have actually bought a full-size bottle of one of these, and I will be buying another full bottle size of one of these samples. They are quite an intoxicating, strong performing niche brand. Now I will say off the get-go on the back that they are strong, they are all performing, they can envelop a room, they can engulf a room. So if you're looking for a nice light fragrance, then these are not for you. So let's get into it. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Angel's Dust. So Angel's Dust, this is the least liked. They're all alike, but this is probably the one that I did not really get a feel from. It has rose in it, I do believe that, and it has benzoin, but the rose in this, it's just not me. I prefer a deep dark gothic rose, and if you're looking for that, then this isn't it. This is fairy tale. This gives me a little bit of Guerlain Insolence vibes, although it's not. I mean, that's not a dupe or a clone or anything like that. It just gives a little bit of that. It's probably why I don't like it. Yeah, it's still strong and it still projects, but it is the least favourite of mine. It has iris in there as well, and you will find that in all of Francesca's fragrances, that kind of little powdery butteriness does run through it. This is extremely powdery. So if you do like powdery fragrances, then this is beautiful. But for me, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't really speak to me. So that's Angel's Dust. So the next one I'm going to talk about is Sex and the Sea. Now this I would rank as number 4 in the 5 that I sampled. Still like it, but to me it's not a full bottle worthy. It's not FBW. The reason being, I'll spray this. Now this has pineapple in it, and I'm not a huge pineapple lover in fragrance. It has a little bit of the coconut and it has ambergris, but it is animalic as well with the civet, which I do like, but to me that's not enough in this fragrance. I feel the coconut, the pineapple just take over in this fragrance to me. It still has a little bit of that powderiness from the iris, and the immortelle flower, which is that everlasting flower, has that herbaceousness and greenness in this. And I wish it had a bit more of that, but it doesn't. A little bit musk as well. I can feel that muskiness from the civet, that animalic note. But it's quite a, I want to say a cold fragrance. It's quite austere and it's quite stark, this fragrance. On me anyway. Now these fragrances you have to wear on skin. You cannot wear them, you cannot just put them on fabric or paper just to test them. Don't. Some you can, some fragrances you can, but with this brand of perfumery, you cannot. Yeah, it's to me, the pineapple just takes over. I wish it had more of those animalic facets, and I wish it had definitely more of the floral facets. But it's bright, slightly carnal, but not as carnal as the others I'm going to talk about. Even though it's called Sex and the Sea, don't think that, oh my gosh, it's going to be real strong and in your face. It is strong, but it's just not my vibe. It has a lightness to it which I don't really kind of gel with. Just doesn't speak to me. But I like it. I don't dislike any of them, but this one and Angel's Dust, sadly, no. Now, the next three are all full bottle worthy in my opinion, and the next one I'm going to talk about is Under My Skin. Yes, 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 this will be a full bottle for sure. Let's spray it. This one is spicy from the get-go. Pepper and the spices hit you. But lavender is there. Oh, these fragrances are crafted, are blended. They are made with, I can see the perfumer she has balanced the notes, balanced, proportioned. The notes are so proportioned. Again, you have a little bit of butteriness, which comes from the orris, but the carnation is there to give it spiciness. I am loving carnation in fragrances. I really am. You know me, I love Salome by Papillon. That is my number one animalic, rose, carnation, jasmine-centric fragrance with animalic notes. And this has a little bit of that carnation in, which is, yeah, it's a fiesta. But the leather is there. The leather grounds this fragrance, and it smells slightly, I don't want to say like eau de skin, but it's what I want my skin to smell like. It's slightly carnal as well, which is lovely. And the ambergris and those animalic notes. Castoreum. The castoreum is abundant in this fragrance. It really is. I never thought that I would like really strong animalic fragrances, but when they are blended really well with florals and fruit nuances, you get such a, it's like a symmetry almost. It's a symmetry of an all-encompassed, all-rounded, full-bodied, beautiful art of a perfume. These are what they are. This is Under My Skin. So the next one I'm going to talk about, the penultimate one, is Lost in Heaven. This fragrance and the final fragrance are absolutely magical, and they take you on a journey. They take me on a journey, which is really lovely. This fragrance, Lost in Heaven, I will say, when I first smelt it, it was love at first sniff, as compared to the others, which weren't so much love at first sniff, the first two. But this one and the final one I'll talk about were completely love at first sniff. It was a complete, like, epiphany is the only way I can describe it. So let's spray it. This is florals and spices and animalics on steroids. It really is. It is. You are tripping. I'm not saying you are absolutely tripping, but it's. Have you seen the film? And it's, I don't know the title of it, but there's a scene in this film. It's a modern day Wizard of Oz film, which was only made about 8 or 10 years ago. the main characters in this film, if you know the film I'm talking about, tell me. They are walking in a big bubble, and everything around them is just a feast for the eyes. You are completely entranced. This is what this is. But there's a darkness with it, and that darkness comes from the Wicked Witch in The Wizard of Oz. I love it, which comes from the cumin and the animalic notes. Again, it's the castoreum. It is a little bit dirty, but on the other side, it's bright and playful and cheerful. You've got the ylang ylang, which gives it that cheerfulness, and the orange blossom is beautiful. And the tangerine gives it some succulence, because there's a tangerine note in this. There's a bit of fruitiness. Wow, it's wow. It's a wow, wow. Still again, there's that powderiness, which comes from, is it the iris or the orris? Only a little bit there, but it's still, she's still just like dropped a little pinch of that in. Well done, Francesca Bianchi. We need to recognise perfumers. We really do, that know their art, know their craft, and can see from eye to from the concept in the mind to the actual art of making it. From there to here now, it's just completely, it's quite mind-blowing really. It's how that idea can then come to everything around you. Beautiful, lost in heaven, completely full bottle worthy, which I will get next time. However, I did get this one as a full bottle from the sample, and this one is X and the C Neroli. Now this is like a flanker, would you believe, to the Sex and the Sea, which I just reviewed. So let's spray it. So this fragrance, let me tell you, yes, Neroli is the star, but there is that animalic note of civet which runs through it, which gives it a bit of a skankiness about it. Now, the Neroli gives it the brightness. It is quite such an uplifting fragrance. It's a joyous fragrance, but it's carnal. It's carnal because of that civet note. There is coconut and ambergris in this, so the ambergris does give it a little bit of backbone to it, but the coconut, the Neroli and the civet, the way they are blended. There's also some floral notes again. You've got a little bit of iris, got a little bit of mimosa. You've got petitgrain, which gives it a slight woodiness almost, I would say. There's a little bit of sandalwood in there as well. And the vetiver, combined with the rose in this, gives it some earthiness, gives it a little bit of grit to the fragrance, combined with the civet and the ambergris. And the Neroli is so bright, and you know I love Neroli in a fragrance, so this completely spoke to me. And let me tell you, when I sprayed just two of these, two little sprays on my hand, my husband, who came in from work, could smell it all down the hallway. 2 hours later, the sillage and the projection, it was still, they are all strong, they are all intoxicating, they all have a scent trail. They are not for people who just want an everyday as you go fragrance. These fragrances are an art in their own, and they are not fragrances that are just churned out. Not that fragrances that are churned out are not bad, but you know, they're not just your everyday run-of-the-mill fragrances, no. These have depth, these have complexity, these all have a signature style about them. So the perfumer has put a little bit of herself into each of these fragrances. And I actually think the Lost in Heaven fragrance is that kind of star at the forefront, and then every other piece of the fragrance that she has made, the ever other fragrances that she has done, revolve around that. I think that Lost in Heaven is definitely something of herself in it. I'd love to have a one-on-one conversation with her on how she had this concept to then visualize it and to make it and to break away from the norm, like Liz Moore's does, like Aaron's Terence Hughes does. They are breaking away from that norm, those conventionalities, which I really am starting to love in my fragrance journey. Beautiful, stunning. Sex and the C Neroli. Now I will say I will wear this all year round. It's not a beachy suntan lotion type fragrance. Oh no. So if you are looking for something like that, then you will be disappointed. This isn't it. You can still wear this in the summer, but it's still dark enough and gritty enough to wear all year round in the autumn and winter, because those animalic notes and the mimosa gives it a little bit of melancholiness about it, a little bit of darkness about it, a little bit of comfort about it. But the neroli is there then saying, come on, let's cheer you up, let's brighten things up, let's be happy, let's be joyous, let's celebrate. But the civet has that carnal aspect, completely multi-dimensional, completely multifaceted. Wow, what a range. So, those are the fragrances that I sampled from Francesca Bianchi. What are your favourites? Comment down below. Are there any you'd like to try? I would actually like to try next the Lover's Tale, Sticky Fingers and Tiger. Those are the three I would like to try, especially Tiger and the Lover's Tale. Those are the two that I possibly would like to try next time, but let me know down below. But until next time, you've been watching another edition of The Fragrantician. So be young, be foolish, but be happy, as I always say. But ciao for now.